So I was rejected. I was rejected by someone I reached out to when I was looking to connect with a lot of influencers for my podcast. The reason I was rejected by that person is because I made a terrible mistake. That's why I want to share with you the 5 biggest mistakes to avoid when connecting with an influencer. Hi, high achiever. My name is Fabienne Raphaël. I'm a business coach and I'm here to help you monetize your knowledge so you can fire your boss. And today I want to share with you things that will not necessarily make me look good, but hey, they happened a while back and I just don't want you to do the same mistakes. The thing is, when you're trying to connect with people, it could actually, this will work to connect with people also, but mainly with influencers, there are certain things that you should never be doing because it will just put you in on the blacklist of people never to connect with again. So there are 5 big mistakes that you should avoid, and I want to share them with you right now. And for each of these mistakes, yes, I will be humble and vulnerable and share with you what I did, what happened to me at the time, and how I fixed that mistake. So, first thing you have to avoid as a mistake is to respect the person's time. That's important, really. So if you have an interview at 1 p.m., then show up at 12:55 and wait for the person to show up. If you show up at 1:05, 1:15, or 1:30, or if you never show up, that is actually very disrespectful because it shows that you don't respect the other person's time. And it's the same thing for you. Try to think if it happens to you, how would you feel? You would feel that you were not respected, that your time was not taken in consideration, especially if you had a busy schedule that day and you decided to make this appointment fit in and the person doesn't show up, doesn't send any message, or I know that stuff happens. I know that emergency happened, and I know that sometimes something comes up and you can't do it as planned. So the least you can do is call, send an email, or connect on social media and let them know that you cannot be there at the appointment at a certain time. It actually happened to me wanting to go on, really looking forward for a podcast interview, and the host kept rescheduling and rescheduling and rescheduling, and there was always something not working, and we had to reschedule and reschedule. So at a certain point I got tired of it and I just stopped. And there are plenty of people who you can connect with and have a great experience with them because they respect your time as much as you respect theirs. So if you are in a position of being reached out for events or for online summits or for podcast interviews, well, you will not want that same thing to happen. If you don't treat people the right way, well, I strongly believe in karma. The other people won't treat you a nice way either. Okay. Second mistake to avoid when you're trying to connect with influencers is to have a template. If you don't know what a template is, same sentences for everyone. No personalized emails, no personalized messages, no personalized videos, same thing, same copy. I remember when I was starting out, since I was sending 10 emails a day, the easiest thing to do was to have a template and just shoot it to a lot of people and see what happened with it. Well, it worked actually quite well. A ton of people responded, but also like a ton of people never responded or just said no. And I think it's because I haven't taken the time to actually personalize these emails. So I had sent like maybe, I don't know, for 40, 50, and then I hit someone, I triggered someone that really disliked receiving a template email. So he replied and said, "Hi, I could definitely see this as a template email. I don't know if you checked my stuff. I don't know if I relate to your audience. I don't know what you're looking for. Go check me out. Reach out again if you still want me to be on your show." Oh my God. I was like, oh my God, really? It really hit me and it hurt me to the core. And I was like, yeah, maybe he's right. And when I checked his profile, actually, he didn't really fit with my audience. So I ended up never interviewing him, and he was totally right. So sometimes when you receive type of like, well, I won't call that negative comment. I would call it constructive comments, right? Because it allowed me to change my approach. And then eventually I took really great time of looking the person up and finding something to relate on and send a personal email instead of sending a template. Third biggest mistake to avoid is not to do any research on your guest. So it relates to the number two, but it's a bit different because when you don't do research on your guests, then you have that person on your interview and you're asking questions. Well, maybe your questions don't relate to what the person is doing. And that's what's happened to me because at the beginning, when I started my podcast, I had a template for my questions. I was asking always the same questions. So I didn't care where the person was from or what the market they were in or what they were doing. I was asking the same questions. And I had this interview with this lady. All the answers she was giving me was like, yes, no, I don't know. What do you mean? And she was not giving any details to any of the questions that I was giving. And I started feeling really uncomfortable about this. So when we finished the interview, she said, can I give you some advice? Can I give you some feedback? I was like, yeah, sure. I always want to improve. She's like, it definitely shows that you didn't really research what I've been doing and what I am an expert at because your questions didn't really fit with what I'm doing. So the next time that you have a guest on your show, if you want to respect the person's time, please do some research and ask great questions that have to do with what they can answer and what they're working on. And I was like, oh no. At the time, I have to admit, I took it very personally. Like that one to me was not constructive. To me, it was like destructive. I felt bad for like a week or something. I was like, oh no, this podcasting thing, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm not good at that and whatsoever. But then eventually I realized, and I remember that I had kept this recording, but I never re-listened to it because I was so ashamed of myself. And at a certain point, I think it was like a year or two later, I came back to that recording and I was like, I listened to it. And I said, I don't know why I took that personally. She was very kind into the way she was letting me know that I was wrong into asking these questions. And she was just sincerely looking for me to improve as an interviewer. So it took me a year to realize that this person was not mean. She was just trying to help. Okay. So another lesson is like, be humble, right? And don't take things personally, especially when you're starting out doing something. The fourth biggest mistake to avoid when you connect with an influencer is actually go for the ask before the connection. Okay. So that's a funny one. That's something I never did, but that's something someone did connecting with me. So because I've known John Lee Dumas for a long time, and because I was on Entrepreneur on Fire, and because I have taken pictures with him, well, someone decided to connect with me and directly asked me to be connected to John. So this is what the person said. I've seen that you've taken pictures with John, so I assume that you know him pretty well. I'm trying to be a guest on Entrepreneur on Fire. Can you connect me with him? Okay, so I never replied to that message. Actually, it was a private message on social media. And I thought that it was bold, but not bold in a great way, like just rude. Because the person didn't say hello or the person didn't say anything about why they related into connecting with me. It was just because they wanted to reach to John and they knew I knew him. So they wanted to have that introduction. That's it. That's rude. So never do that. Never ask an influencer for something if you haven't taken care of looking them up, following their work, reading their book, investing into their programs, or having them as mentors, or just like being active on their social media platforms. Just that makes you, as I said before, stand out, and it makes you someone that is actually legitimate to collaborate with because you've done your part and you've done some efforts. And I always tell people, try to put yourself in their place. try to put yourself in the influencer's place, when people are reaching out. And I'm talking to you about this, and it's when I got started, but now I am getting invitations for podcasts or for summits or for other stuff online or at events. And yes, I do appreciate when the person asking to connect has done their part, has done their research, or has been a client of mine, or has been following me forever on social media, and now trying to do something that could be a win-win situation. So when you keep in mind that it has to be a win-win situation, it really helps you out. And the fifth mistake to avoid, the last one, is to care more about the interview than the relationship. Okay? So meaning that you obviously are there for one reason, and it's to get everything out of that person. And after that, you throw them to the garbage. Okay? What I mean by throwing them to the garbage is just you never connect again. You never say thank you. You never go back to their stuff and interact anymore because you got what you wanted. And that's rude again. And that's actually putting you on the blacklist for these people. Plus, especially when you connect with influencers, you know that they know a ton of people. So if you've done something with one and he has this huge circle of influence, then guess what? Your name is going to be in the conversations, but not necessarily positively, but really negatively. So these are the 5 big mistakes to avoid when connecting with influencers. So not respecting their time, using a template when connecting with them, not doing a research before asking your questions, ask for a service, a favor as soon as you connect without even introducing yourself or having a connection with that person before, and care more about the interview than the relationship. Remember to subscribe to this channel because every Tuesday and Friday there's a new video, and you know what? I'll see you in the next one.